Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. I'm Brett, and my hands is A Capital and Ideology, a graphic novel adaptation of Thomas Piketty's book, and it is adapted by Alet and Benjamin Adam. So this is a really interesting graphic novel. As I said, it's an adaptation of Thomas Piketty's Capital in the 21st Century. And I will say I've never read Capital in the 21st Century, so I'm fairly unfamiliar with the original book that this is based on. But it's an interesting graphic novel. So the basic concept is it takes us through from 1700s to modern times about politics and capital, about economics. And kind of like it challenges about ideology, politics, history, and how a lot of the ideas and concepts that we have implemented have just spread inequality. It is a leftist take on things. For those who come to our site, you'll know that I am fairly leftist. Doesn't mean I completely agree with everything from this, but I think there's a lot that it nails down. It's also, I think, really interesting is that it's very European-centric. It says starts off the 1700s, takes us to modern times, and it is very much about, I would say, European history. It does touch upon American here and there, but more modern times, like 1980 on-ish, is where it really focuses on things that happen in the United States. So, it's also, I think, an interesting read just because, it's kind of Eurocentrics, and not only does it take you through all that history, but it's also, I think there's like 4 points in the end of how we can maybe change up the system to maybe create some more equality. But again, since it's very Eurocentric, some of these suggestions are very European-focused, like some stuff with the European Union. So overall, I think it's actually a really interesting read. Like, I used to love reading political text, especially around college, even before high school, to be honest, and taking me through ideas, left, right, didn't really care. I just loved kind of reading and seeing what others had to say, and to me, this kind of takes me back in some ways. What I think is actually really interesting is that it doesn't just show off Piketty's concepts and ideas. It's a story. It's a really story of a family. It's done more in a narrative sense than anything else. And to me, I think it's a more interesting way of discussing the concepts within and the graphic novel as a whole. I think it's interesting. Like, it's I think a very accessible way to dive into some pretty weighty topics and weighty concepts. The art is interesting. I like it. It's kind of New Yorker, I guess, maybe a way to describe it. It's cool. Like, I like it. I won't say it shifts over time, but it definitely, I think, does a good job of reminding you when it's in the 1700s or 1900s or 2000s. Just in the drawing of the characters and stuff like that, and even maybe the body language and how people are presented. I think it's kind of fascinating. As I said, this is like a story of a family throughout time, and it gives you the breakdown of who everyone is, which I actually think is really, really interesting. It's also, if you can see, I don't know how well it comes off on this, is that it's broken up into sections of the different time periods, and then at the end, the various proposals that are thrown out there of how to maybe change some things for the better. Overall, I think it's awesome. Graphic novels being used for education is, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a new concept, but it's still a concept that I think is growing in popularity and acceptance. And there's a lot of studies that have shown using graphic novels to teach concepts, especially like this. It actually helps the retaining the information and understanding the concepts. And for me, I think it's just a really kind of a fun read to see what's out there. I mean, not necessarily going to say I'm rusty on stuff like this, but it's not something I'm necessarily reading a lot like I used to. So, to dive in and be able to read something like this, I think is rather interesting. Even as a lefty, as I said, I'll admit I'm a lefty. I don't necessarily agree with everything that is thrown in there, but I think it's actually a very interesting read and take on history, and a lot of it, I do agree with. What a shock. So, I don't think you necessarily have to totally agree with what it has to say. I think it's just a very interesting take on history, and for those maybe who like to read about history and maybe want a graphic novel on it, this is a interesting way to digest some of it, more focused on the economic end of things throughout time. So check it out. I think it's really cool, very very creative, and some nice art. So out now, you can go get it. We have a link that you can go buy it in shops. Put in your zip code, tell the shops near you. No shop, no problem. We do have some links where you can purchase your own. There'll be affiliate links, so we do get a small percentage. By doing that, you help support our site. And of course, I want to thank Abrams Books for hooking us up with a review copy. And of course, thank you all for watching. If you are into graphic novels and into comics in general, check us out every day at graphicpolicy.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, Instagram, all that stuff, all graphic policy, keeping it nice and consistent. So until next time, keep reading those comics and keep it geeky. Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.